Hey everybody, welcome back to our neck of the woods, and today's video, Aaron wants to turn the 1LE into a race car, so happy wife, happy life. All right, so in all honesty, last time we went out to the track, I got a little motion sickness, and after looking at a bunch of stuff online and talking with some of the instructors and even some other people who track a lot more than me, we all pretty much said the exact same thing. First thing that I had noticed is my eye tracking when I'm on the track, and when I had a camera facing at me, I basically looked like I had a nystagmus going on. So that involuntary shaking and movement of the eyeball, I was looking too quickly down at an apex, looking for like the cone and the entrance point, then looking back up, then looking down, and then looking, and I was just doing too much looking. Basically need to look through the turn and just drive on the apex that I actually know that turn can take. And apparently that's supposed to help. If not, then sure, I can think about taking some sort of motion sickness pill or something to kind of help reduce that. But I did feel a little bit better on the last session out, trying to keep that in mind. Also, it was mentioned that I could have been a little dehydrated, so I ate lunch, I held off a session, drank a Gatorade and some water and even some pineapple juice, and just tried to get some calories in me and to just try to make myself feel a little bit better. In the last session that I did go out, when I came back in on my cool down lap, I felt nowhere near as nauseous as I did earlier in the daytime. So a third thing some people had mentioned was how I'm controlling my breathing. I felt I was controlling my breathing well, so I don't think that was really part of the problem. But the fourth thing that people mentioned is the car could be too fast, or I could be shaking the wheel too much. And again, I don't feel like I was, but under heavy braking, I could feel my body tensing up because this car can brake so damn hard. And I'm just moving around in my seat, and even Aaron said, oh, I bounce all over the place. So we need to basically strap myself in a little bit better. So the first modification that we have to turn this car into a track car is we need to get planted, and we need to hold ourselves in a little bit more secure. And the reason why I said we need to get planted is because we actually went with some approved, I believe FIA, maybe not, but planted seat mounts. They're fairly inexpensive. I've ran them before in other cars. They're nicely welded up, basically kind of solid chunks of steel. And the planted seat brackets here also in steel. Again, they're fairly inexpensive, but they're easy to mount, they're easy to install, and basically they just work. So tonight I'm gonna try and get our seat installed, and we did go ahead and pick up an FIA approved fiberglass racing seat. So far, I only have the driver's side, but we did spend a little bit more money going with a race quip with halo. Not that race quip is really that much money, but the extra added support and the extra like halo here for my head restraint. We spent a little bit more money on that on the driver's side, but because I could be solo driving more than not, Aaron's seat will probably be race quip too, but it doesn't have to have the halo approved here. Because honestly, I'm probably not gonna go all out and then some if I have a passenger. So I was able to pick it up from Jegs. Jegs in Ohio not only has a retail store, but they also have a distribution center. And it's basically just a ginormous warehouse. So if you call on the phone, you can do will call, and you can actually go pick up stuff that day if you're willing to make the trek out to near Delaware, Ohio. I was able to get a good deal on it. They do price match online, and when I called to put the order in to go pick it up, I asked them, would you match Amazon? And they're like, no, it takes a couple days to do that. Amazon's not really like a real website to price match, but how much is it on Amazon? So I gave him the link, and he actually went under the price on Amazon and actually saved me a whole crap ton of money without even needing an approval. So it doesn't hurt to call up a big company every now and again and ask, you know, can you show me a little bit of love and give me a discount? Which they did. And again, I think I got a really good price on this guy, as opposed to if I went with a more expensive brand like OMP or Sparco, etc. I think the price would have been probably almost double. Now, because of the brackets on here, or these welded on little pieces here, we can go ahead and still use the racing seat with a factory seat belt. you can unbolt it from down below, slip it through the inside seat where a harness should go, like around your belly here on the side. And you can pretty much get these to almost work just as good as factory. But obviously with a racing seat, you do need to think about going with an actual rear cage and an actual harness. And then of course, even if you're out driving on the street, you should wear a helmet. So kind of all four pieces go together. And the reason why even the seat should go with a harness is because technically speaking, in a rollover in a factory car, the hood is going, or the roof is going to buckle, and your seat actually can give way, and like you will bend out of the way so you don't get your head crushed in a rollover. But unfortunately, since racing seats are solid backed, your seat now basically becomes the roll cage if you don't have a roll cage already installed. So we need to be careful driving on the street. I don't ever plan on rolling the car over. But with the factory seat belt in place, slipping through again each side here, where like this will be the buckle side, or that will be the buckle side, and that's where your seat comes through. You can still string it across your chest and have it go down through your chest on your harness and across your lap, that it still should act the exact same way. But just rule of thumb, if you're gonna run safety in a car, you basically need to run all safety together and don't split them up because you can get hurt. And I said this before, I do not like rear harness bars because they can bend and give way. They usually don't structurally mount that well in the car, and in a front-end collision, I just think they're dangerous. So if you've got the time and the money to have one custom made or one made for your car, buy an actual rear roll cage and strap your harnesses to that, because there's no way your body's gonna be able to bend those bars in a front-end collision and actually hurt you. But let's get this puppy down. Let's get this seat out here. I'm actually gonna go get a scale inside too and weigh this thing. I wanna know how much weight that we're gonna drop. And later in a few weeks or so, again, we'll get Erin's seat and we'll get hers bolted in. But for now tonight, let's just get the seat set up and see if I'm comfortable for where I'm at. Oh, and I did inspect the car underneath. I did not find anything that could have made that scraping sound the last time we were at the track. And that boom that I heard on the back straightaway, that could have just been maybe my exhaust or somebody else's exhaust backfiring. But again, I can't find anything wrong. The only thing that I did find wrong was a mistake on my part. When I was putting the SPL rear tow arm back on, there's some lockout spacers. And while I was looking at the front spacer and putting that nut back on, the back spacer jumped out of the rear subframes like locking points, and it kind of twisted and then got bolted back down. So while it was bolted really strongly and probably didn't affect the toe at all, that washer was basically crushed a little bit. So I had to take it back off, pound it back out flat, and reinstall it and bolt it all back together. But removing that bolt did not affect the rear toe at all. The arm didn't move, it stayed still. I was able to loosen it up, pull it out, and put it back in, and nothing on the alignment changed. But I can't find what that scraping was, and it did sound like we basically bottomed out going up the ramp, but I don't know, you got me confused. All right, I am happy with where my racing seat is at right now, so I at least want to take some measurements so we get everything right. So for like example, the back here, say is about 22 inches away from the steering wheel. Front of the seat looks like it's right at the front of the A on the Camaro as we go along here. And height-wise, seat's about 9.5 inches up, and it does taper down. So we're not gonna bolt that seat in that bracket completely flat. We're gonna have to taper it back, and that will give us a back angle here. Hopefully we can get to about 9.5 inches on the front here. And then again, I just need to get the front of the seat equal with the A. But I know for sure that this seat weighs a good 50, 60 pounds. So this is gonna be fun unbolting and trying to get it out of here. So it looks like on the Camaro, they don't have bolts in the front. They've just got like hooks that fit down in and lock under the car, and you only have 2 bolts on the back. So that's gonna be a little bit better to get this installed, because once the seat's sitting on here, or the seat's all the way back, because a racing seat, you're not allowed sliders. This is gonna be all solidly fixed. It's gonna be very tight in here to try and get all 4 bolts tightened. So I am happy that Chevy doesn't have front bolts, and we're just gonna basically like lock in. But of course, we can't use a normal bolt, can we, Chevy? We gotta use a Torx head. It looks like a T50 Torx. All right, simple enough, but this kind of sucks. It looks like they put the seat belt actually attached to the seat instead of bolting it down here. So that actually is kind of good and bad. It means we don't have to remove any of the plastic to like get this thing to unbolt. But we probably are gonna have to take the seat out and take the plastic of the seat off so that we can unbolt this guy from the seat and we can unbolt the buckle from the other side. And of course, you can't forget the airbag. This has heated seats, it has cooled seats. So there's gonna be some electronics underneath there that we need to go ahead and pull apart. That may be the easiest seat I've ever taken out in my life. That is a nice plug right there. All right, it's 100 degrees in here, so I'm sweating my butt off, but getting that off wasn't that bad. You do not have to remove this plastic piece all the way. There is a tiny little Torx head right in there that you just unbolt, and then you can lift the plastic up ever so slightly, and it felt like there was one clip. Then you have a Torx head right here that you just unscrew from the seat, and then you just unplug the airbag sensor. And now the seat is 100% out of the car, minus we still have to do the belt buckle on that side. And if you guys aren't already, please subscribe. Please like this video. Please share it with your friends. It is 200 degrees in this garage right now and the humidity is like 90%. I am dying. The more that you guys like this video and stuff, I will get an air conditioner installed on this guy. All right, so the factory seat weighs 56.6 pounds. Let's see what the race quip weighs. All right, so the race quip with the steel base and steel risers weighs 36.8 pounds. Now I can't remember what I just said, but I thought it was like 56 pounds and some change. So somewhere around like 19 to 20 pounds is what we're saving. Again, you can spend a little bit more money on getting aluminum risers. I don't think they make an aluminum base, but they probably do. I'll post a picture right here. But yeah, you could go aluminum and save a little bit of weight. And then of course, that's only a couple $100 seat. I mean, you can spend $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $10,000 on a seat if you get carbon fiber and Kevlar, etc. That's just fiberglass, but it is FIA approved. So it is a safe seat. I do trust in it, but there's probably a good 5 pounds or more on the table due to the fact of all of that is made out of versus what you actually can spend. All right, I am a little nervous if this thing probably won't fit. There may need to be some pushing or adjusting, which, yeah, this needs pushed over just a hair. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to force that and bend those, but yeah, that's what you get for not spending as much money as you could. It's only about less than a 16th off, so I just have to push these over just a hair. All right, there we go. Just a little bit of prying. How am I supposed to get that bolt through this hole when there's no hole from up above to drop that down into? Did have to make some adjustments on these brackets on my 370Z. Even when you set the risers on these things, they don't always fall right in line with the hole. So just went ahead and drilled an extra hole. One little baby hole drilled down through isn't gonna hurt it, but it looks like we're gonna have to do one hole back there so the bolt can drop down. Cannot believe they think that that was going to work. And when we put the risers on here again, we're probably gonna have to drill maybe one, maybe two holes so bolts can go down through and the risers and the bracket will actually be one. Right, planted. Haha, funny that you had to do that like that. And you couldn't pre-drill the hole for your customer. All right, bracket is in. Now we're gonna bolt the risers to the side of the seat. The seat does come with its own hardware, so that's nice. But we are gonna need our own hardware. And again, like I said, I don't think everything in that planted base is gonna line up with the bottoms of basically these. Only 6 holes that you have, even though they're oblong and they're kind of wide, but we're gonna guess to where these are gonna go on there. We'll sit the seat in there, and then we can go in and kind of mark where we can drop some bolts down in on the base. And as long as we have that like 22 inches back and 9 inches high and whatever other measurement I said, where the seat comes up to the front of the A in the Camaro, then we'll be exactly where we need to be. But this is just trial and error. Bolting these on about 100 times, unbolting them, again, pitch forward, pitch back, etc., up, down. It will be nice to kind of drop lower in the car if we can get the seat as low as possible, because at Nelson's ledges, after you go on the front straightaway underneath of the bridge, I hit a dip and come up and smash my head into the roof. So it'll be nice to drop down like say 1 inch, and then when I bounce up, I probably won't hit the roof anymore, but. All right, test fit number 1, not too bad. It looks like we definitely have to tilt this thing back more, because I think I'm gonna be driving way too straight up. But at least for right now, for preliminary test, we're about 21 3/4. So if we raise this thing up and go down 1 more notch, right now we're directly in the middle on the front, and we're on the very top one on the back. So we'll have room to get back in here to tighten up a bolt, but we have more room to like tilt this guy. My feet aren't too bad. This seat technically could be shorter in length, and in fact I can't go too much further. I'm about 2 or 3 inches away from the front of the A on the Camaro, but we're basically gonna be off the base if we go up further. But I mean, I could go just a hair. But I think we need to rock this guy down to the second one. So we rock back a little bit, which you can see I can still do. And then maybe we can move 1 notch forward. And I think we actually got lucky. I think that looks good. What do you guys think? All right, guys, an eternity later, I was able to get it. I'll be back tomorrow. I know where the seat's gonna sit now. It does fit, but I'll reveal it when I get back in the morning, and everything should be good to go. All right, guys, it's the next day. Just got back from the store. Unfortunately, they didn't have any 10-8 or 10-9 bolts or 12-9 bolts, so just decided to go with the American grade 8s, which pretty much are the exact same strength as a 10-9, maybe even a little bit stronger. But we are gonna go to a grade 8, and I did step up the thickness. So holding the risers down to the base is gonna be a stronger connection, because it just didn't make sense to me that if the base is being held down by something that big and that thick, it doesn't make sense to then have the risers hold down to the seat with something so thin and small. And then to hold the seat belt on to the factory mount or to the base, I had to thicker size also, a little bit longer. So equivalent wise on strength, we're gonna be exactly the same, but we had to still upgrade. All right, everybody, all done. That is honestly one of the worst things you can do on a car. There's absolutely no room to get to anything. Plus, you've got such little fine adjustments that you just don't know where you want. I probably spent 2 hours or more the other night trying to find out where I wanted to go. And then you got to figure out how you're going to get it back in. You cannot bolt the seat to the risers to the base and try and get it into the car then, because you can't get to the back bolts, because obviously this thing doesn't have sliders. And if this thing did have front bolts, it would be absolutely impossible to bolt this thing in. So we had to bolt the base in first and the risers together before we even put it into the car, because then again you can't get your hand underneath of the risers and the base to be able to bolt them together. So everything had to be done outside of the car. And you really have to make sure your measurements are good, or your bases are kind of pre-bolted together in the car where the seat's gonna go, or else your brackets could be too far out and the seat will plop down in, or your brackets will be too close together and then you can't get your seat down in. So it absolutely sucks to do this, but it is in. I'm not 100% happy with the way the factory seatbelt works, because this guy is looped down and around now, when this guy usually was kind of more up and down. But if you pull this right across your seat like that, it is pulling straight as an arrow, or pulling sideways, kind of like it would anyway from the factory. The buckle on the other side is too long, so it just barely kind of fits in this way. Or technically it's too short one way and it's not long enough the other. So when you're sitting in the car and you bolt yourself down in going over to here, it is extremely, extremely tight. But in an emergency, because you barely have that buckle right there, you actually just have to like reach down with your fingertips and go for the top of the button and push it to be able to get out. Getting out is very easy, but strapping yourself in when this thing doesn't really have any room to like come up further, it's a pain in the butt. So the next step is we do need to get a rear roll cage, probably a bolt-in. I'm also thinking about a rear seat delete. There's a whole thing that you can lose all of the weight in the back. It's only like 30 pounds, but you delete the back seat, the rear seat, and all of the rear seat belts, and it's something like 30 pounds, and you're basically just putting in like a carpeted piece of like fiberglass or like cardboard really. But it gives you a little bit more room in the rear and saves some weight. But that in a rear roll cage and that in a harness. But I do feel confident on a racetrack that you would be good to go in that setup because it is so tight across your lap. And obviously this guy's gonna get tight under any high braking or anything like that, so it will work. But let me know down in the comments below, what do you guys wanna see next? If Aaron definitely wants me to build this thing into a race car, what is the next race car thing that we should do? Again, let me know what you guys think. What do you wanna see next on a future mod here? And then hopefully our next track day this season, we'll probably be back at Nelson's Ledges, that there's another couple coming up, and then maybe another Mid-Ohio. Or is there anyone out there that wants to meet us and we can go up to Michigan or something? Because there's a couple tracks up there that I hear that are really nice and fast. Oh, I probably should have test fitted that first, huh? That's a little tight in there. The shoulder restraint is basically pushing into the door card. But it's soft, it doesn't look like it's gonna do any damage. There's a little bit of room, but this is a nice seat, I do like it. It does fit me well. It's very tight in the shoulder restraints right here that was hitting the door card. Any smaller and I would literally have to drive like this. So while I need more junk in the trunk here to fit a 15-inch base, the shoulders and everything actually do fit me quite well. So unfortunately, Erin's gonna have some adjustable pedals, or she's gonna have to put some bricks on her shoes if she wants to drive this thing again. Because unbolting this thing and bolting that factory seat back in probably ain't gonna happen.
I would never drive like this.
But you could drive me home drunk one night if you absolutely needed to. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe it's not as big as of a pain in the butt, again, to get the height and to try and adjust it for your pitch. But I mean, you would have to be this car only, but you can't reach the pedals, can you?
No, and it has to come that far forward.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen. The bracket will literally be off of the base. That sucks if you don't have sliders. So I did see a race video the other day. Did you watch the whole thing?
No.
It's a Camaro ZL1 1LE build from a company. And what they did is they bolt the seat in so every driver sits in the exact same seat, but they put aftermarket pedals up front on a base. So all of the pedals work attached to this base, and then all they have to do is take out 4 bolts front and rear, pick the base up and move it forward and bolt it back down, or pick it back up and do it the other way. Now, I don't know how you would ever do that in an endurance race like at Le Mans, because, I mean, how fast can you go in there and zip, 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 and then pull it like up to the next driver and then zip, 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 zip. I mean, I guess it could be pretty fast, but you're definitely gonna be wasting time. But that's the only thing we can think of, is get adjustable pedals. But until next time, let me know what you guys think again. Let me know what you want to see on a future mod. And if you got anything else to say, comment down below, and we'll see you next time. Take care.